everybody, we're back again today and we're going to finish up the very last figure in the Hand in Hand series by painting the little dog today. He is the last one of the figures, like I said, and then we'll be moving on to do some backgrounds. So I'm going to start off with him, the little dog. We're going to do some wet on wet, and I'm going to start by painting just plain water into all of the areas of his body except for his tail. And then I'm going to be taking, I have some yellow ochre and let's see, burnt umber and Van Dyke brown, and I'm just kind of using a mixture of all of those. So I'm going to start off on the light side here with mostly yellow ochre. That's his, we're using the same value sketch that we used throughout the series, and so this is the light side of his body, and so we'll drop some of that yellow ochre into that area, and then we'll work our way darker as we get over to this shadow side of his body. He's really little, so I hope you can see what I'm working on here. I'm not covering up too much of your view here. He's pretty tiny. Alright, so we have just kind of a good layer going here, and I'm going to start dropping in some darker color up here around his neck on the far side, and then also down here along his leg. And then we'll drop some in on the far side of his other leg as well, and kind of up under his tail. Okay, and then we will do the same thing for his little head. Start with a little bit of water, and then we'll add some yellow ochre over on this side first of all, and then some darker brown over here. His head got a little more yellow than his body, so I might try to add just a little bit of more of this yellow ochre down into his body. Okay, so we're going to let that dry for a little bit, and we will come back and add some more shading and finish his tail and the leash. Okay, so that's probably pretty dry, so we're going to go in and add some more shading over here. And under his tail, of course, too, would be a little bit darker. So I put in some color, and then I'm going to use a clean brush and feather that out, blend that out, and add more along this side of his body also, this side of his leg. And then we'll add a little more on this leg on the inside and also under his tail again, and then down where his foot meets the sidewalk or wherever he's walking on there. Get some nice dark areas down there where that meets the ground. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and add some color to his tail. I don't think the rest of it is too terribly wet, so we should be able to go in. Actually, maybe we'll go up to work on his head a little bit. Let's add some shading to this side of his head. And his ear. And then we'll blend that out. And then I want to define the edge of his ear just a little bit more with some darker brown. And then we'll define this ear a little more, give him a little shadow under this ear also. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And then I think we can finish his tail. We'll start off with some yellow ochre, and I'm going to leave some yellow or some white areas. If I can, go in and drop in some darker brown, especially down towards the bottom of the tail, the far side. Okay, and then we'll give his leash and his collar some color. I think we'll just give him a red collar and a red leash. So just go in and fill in that real tiny area. I'm going to add some shading to that as well. I just use our brown and drop that in. To kind of define the bright side versus the shadowed side and give that a little bit of dimension. And then we'll give the leash itself a little color too. Just go in some red. Okay, and then I'm going to add just a few little defining strokes to his tail. Just real lightly with my brush. Kind of adding some texture there. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good, and I think our little dog is finished. So that wraps up all of the figures from this set, and we have done the lady, the man, the little girl, and the little boy, and the dog, and also the umbrella. Alright, so that is all of the figures, and we have painted them all, and we will come back after. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we'll come back and I'll show you some ideas for creating some backgrounds.